Hey guys, Akiba here for CryptoSlate. Today I've got with me Vito, the founder of SolSea and All Art. Thanks for joining us, Vito. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for inviting us.
No, you're welcome. Looking forward to it. It's really interesting space. Obviously, at the moment, the crypto industry is in an interesting place. What's your take on where we're currently at with everything and the sort of the future at the moment?
Well, we've been here since 2017 when we started our involvement in the crypto space. So I've been through the bear market in
Hmm.
2018, 19, 20. So I'm expecting things to cool down. I'm expecting a lot of projects to drop off, but I also expect a fantastic innovation to pop up in this new kind of period between the two bull runs. So we are very happy. Actually, it kind of brings this feeling of ease
Hmm.
uh, developers because we can finally focus on building new stuff and innovating without the pressure of bull market that we had in the last maybe 6 to 9 months.
Hmm.
Because at that time everybody's just super crazy and expecting things to happen overnight and like hey like you need to deliver more, you need to be there like every week, and sometimes things that are serious development wise take time, and
Hmm.
I think this is kind of buys time for true developers to bring in new products and new solutions.
I mean, it's almost become a meme at this point, hasn't it? In that as soon as sort of crypto winter comes, it's like, okay, it's time to build, guys. It's like knuckle down. And I think, I think you got the pressure. Obviously now is removed of kind of trying to keep up with demand, isn't it? I think a lot of developers during a bull run, it's like you're getting so many new users a day. Trying to focus on core infrastructure could be difficult. Now it's like you say that feeling of ease. It's like, my portfolio is down 80%, but it's fine. I feel calm now. we're masochists in the crypto industry, aren't we?
I mean, it is all. A lot of people lost money. Okay, so we need to be very, let's say, decent in these difficult times because we know what happened in 2018. We also lost a lot of money. At
Hmm.
that time, we were not ready. We were not prepared. We didn't know what the crypto bear market is. So I think that all of the, especially retail, that came into the space late and for the first time they had actually no idea, how painful it can be, and
Hmm.
it will be. So we have to
Well,
be humble to help them out, to be there for the community,
hmm.
and just to I think build good things because what we can learn from bull markets is actually it's a lot about gambling on who's going to win,
Hmm.
and our mission and job is not to make a next great casino, but actually to solve real world problems that could be solved with crypto. And I think that kind of these solutions, they stay in the shades while the bull run is happening because everybody's flipping whenever they can flip because
Hmm.
everything is going up.
Hmm.
And I think that the solutions that I believe that NFTs, actually digital assets, will bring in the next bull run and some form of implementation of the metaverses will actually be this driving force behind bringing real life businesses into the kind of crypto sphere, which is more like a digital asset sphere that you can own. And that's something new that it, current run. I mean, the last year it was not ready. I mean,
Hmm.
the infrastructure was not there. That we don't have tools yet. Uh, you cannot engage mass audiences and mass adoption without these simple UX and UI things. You need to have these kind of tooling set to be able to bring in the mass adoption.
Yeah, and we're also finding just general like security protocols, sort of systems in place. Like, I mean, you look at sort of Yuga Labs and Bored Ape, how many times their Discord's been exploited in some way. Like utilizing these Web 2 tools with Web 3, sort of the ability that you say potentially. I'm super fascinated by this space as well. So I recently moderated a panel, Blockdown, in Croatia, on exactly this topic. In terms of it was the future of NFTs. What does the future look like? And it was a fantastic panel with some really interesting ideas, and I'm keen to sort of jump into that with you exactly. But before we do, I mean, we usually do this a little bit sooner, but just for anyone that's not quite aware, just give us a quick elevator pitch of what is SolSea, what's All Art, and how are they connected?
Okay, so maybe I can then go a bit back into the past and tell you how it all developed.
Okay.
So we started in 2017 with what we call VR All Art. So that was it's still up and running. It's a platform, virtual reality platform for galleries, museums, collectors, and artists to create virtual reality exhibitions.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, VR was growing, and we understood that it was a fantastic opportunity for artists and galleries and museums to create virtual reality exhibitions, because art is difficult to travel. Right, you cannot take this painting and put it on a plane and take it to London, for example. It will take you a lot of money and a lot of permissions, basically, and then legal problems. So anyway, we started developing the VR art platform, and at the moment that Ethereum launched smart contracts, it was obvious that the place to be is the crypto smart contracts arena together with the virtual reality, because in that way people don't have to no hassle, just go into VR, click on a painting. The painting can be tremendously expensive. You can buy it literally in a fraction of a second, and by transferring the crypto funds. And we started incorporating blockchain technology inside of VR art. But we were unhappy with Ethereum because it was too slow and too expensive. And we thought that, if you're going to a virtual exhibition and you want to, for example, buy a virtual ticket for a virtual exhibition of a museum, you cannot wait for 10, 20, 30 seconds or couple of minutes to get this virtual ticket. You need to have that kind of capability, immediately. So anyway, we ditched Ethereum. And we said, okay, now it's bear market. We can continue the development of the platform, but we always waited for a blockchain that was good enough for us for implementation of blockchain technology inside of virtual reality. So one thing led to another, and we had Corona. So Corona came in 2019, I think. And so what happened is that everybody needed virtual exhibitions today. It was that moment, like, hey, we're closed down, and now let's Google the virtual exhibitions. Because all these museums and all these galleries, they had these shows that were scheduled, and shows could not happen, so they started searching online solutions for that. But anyway, Corona gave us something very important. It gave us a learning experience for people that never wanted to learn virtual reality, never wanted to learn online meetings, things. So it became a norm that you can create virtual exhibition, you can create a virtual fair, and there will be people coming. And so that was a tremendous kind of a fast introduction of the whole online virtual sphere to a whole bunch of players in the, especially in the art market. And then in 2021, we kind of finally. No, Corona came in 2020, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, the December 2019 in China, yeah.
Yeah. So in 2021, as the crypto started to boom again, we said, okay, now is the time to actually come back to the implementation of crypto, and we started searching for the right blockchain solution, and we found Solana. And that moment, it was the Solana summer was almost starting, and I dig deeper into the tech of Solana, and I said, finally, we have it. The Solana architecture of the chain is different than Ethereum, and it makes a lot of sense for us, and speed and the cost and everything. It worked for us, and we said, okay, let's implement Solana blockchain inside VRLR. And because the VR art was always about the way that the art is treated in virtual reality, the way that license rights are treated, the way the metadata is treated, we said, okay, we're going to implement this protocol, this new type of approach towards art scene inside Solana blockchain. And that's how All Art came to be. So All Art is basically an NFT protocol that was built on Solana blockchain. And we started building. We won in a Solana hackathon in the NFT track, and then we also started fundraising. But what was crazily interesting at that moment in time, there was no NFT marketplace on Solana. So there was Solana, but like an open NFT marketplace. So we said, okay, because we built some tech previous to that, and for the hackathon, we said, okay, let's create a first open NFT marketplace on Solana. So that's how SolSea came to be. So we announced SolSea, and then we released SolSea very, very quickly. At that time, that was craziness. There was no time to do proper quality assurance, no testing. It was just like, get it out, just release it. People need to.
Well, exactly the problem we were talking about, like bull market demand. Like you can't focus on fundamentals. You just got to deliver. Yeah.
So we released SolSea in September last year, and then whole hell broke loose, basically. And like openness versus closeness, verification problems, fakes, copy mints, like there's then a whole bunch of a bag of trouble that came knocking on our door while we were trying to kind of defend the fact that creators need a place where they could go create NFTs and sell NFTs. But then, also scammers took this technology and said, like, okay, we can create scams. And then we were fighting scammers, and then the other marketplaces came in, and then there was a big kind of fight between the marketplaces on Solana at like the end of last year and the beginning of this year. So we learned a lot, and I think what we learned in the process is something that we can never, let's say, guess, or we can never estimate by ourselves sitting in our office, and coding. That was our real, touch of the market, like literally diving in the market that then reflects back to us everything that is needed in the market, that is wrong in the market, that is wrong with the technology, that is wrong with the whole space that we can actually fix. And I think this is the big insight that we got since the beginning.
If you could have done it again, would you do anything differently?
Everything would be different, literally. But if we could do it different again, in this same way, in the same moment in time, we could never do it differently because we didn't know what we know now. Like the learning experience is maybe our biggest value that we got from this process. It's not, you can never foresee it. Like what we imagined SolSea would be is a place where people will come, they will create art NFTs, they will sell art NFTs. We had no idea that the whole narrative will evolve around 10,000 pieces collection. Like, hey, let's mint 10,000 pieces collection. Let's release that. That was just a part of the market at that time. A couple of these collections were released at that time, but we thought that would not drive the market. But at the end of the day, that was the core driver of the market, and in the NFT space at least.
So one of the things that you mentioned to us when we were chatting via Telegram is you think that the NFT market is not really started yet. And one of the things that you talked about was that in order for the metaverse to really take off, we need kind of truly functional digital assets. What defines a truly functional digital asset to you?
Well, maybe then I can tell you a bit about VRL Art. Okay, so VRL Art is a Web2 platform. It's a metaverse before the metaverse, what we call it, because the metaverse, was coined. It was coined decades ago, but re-established last year when Mark Zuckerberg, of course, owned their company Meta. But the thing is that the metaverse is a virtual reality place, right? Or virtual place where people meet, usually in virtual environments. I think also the metaverse is actually what we have right now. Like we are in the metaverse, you and I right now, in the form of the metaverse. We are digitally present. But when we talk about digital assets in the metaverse, I think this is an interesting topic. Like Web2 technology that we have in VRLR demands for our clients to go into the dashboard, to upload, art pieces inside, to pick a 3D model of a gallery, to pick an asset of a chair or a plant or a spotlight, and then it comes all down together in exhibitions they create. But what we need, and we don't have yet, is the way that you hold these assets in your wallet.
Okay.
And when you hold these assets in your wallet, or you hold them like in some form of, let's not call it a wallet, let's call it a vault, or let's call it a place of your digital belongings, then you might be able to use them in different platforms. So these assets then can travel from one platform to another without any problems. It comes down to a file that is stored somewhere, okay, that holds this digital asset. But we don't have standards that are capable of, let's say, handling these files in a proper way yet. We are building one of these, but the metadata that is currently stored in the NFT is, completely unusable when you want to use it for something real. Not use it for just flipping JPEGs, but something real, like a 3D file, for example. And these 3D files that are now stored, when you talk about, let's say, 3D NFTs, these 3D files are not usable in real time, for example, in mobile apps, because if you upload a 3D shoe that has 1 million polygons, you cannot have 20 avatars with 40 shoes running in a mobile app.
So you talk about the fact that the 3D assets on the blockchain they're rendered. So is that what you're saying, that because they're rendered, they can't be imported into other platforms? Like they need to be.
You cannot have these easy, transfer of assets from one platform to another, because basically the files that are linked to your NFT are not in a standard that can be easily read or used by different platforms. It's just a matter of tech, and we have the tech. It's just that the standard that is used to kind of store these NFTs or store these files and then have the metadata in the NFTs done in a proper way, so that a wallet or an app that reads the wallet can access the right file and have the information about what is stored in this file so that it can use it properly. It's not yet there.
That's clever. So you're saying that basically the metadata that you'll build will have a link to the file for people to view the NFT, but then another application could read the metadata to get the Unity file or the Unreal file, and that would be somewhere else underneath it.
Yes. Yeah.
Very cool. Yep. There's definitely a massive use case for that. I think that's very cool.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, like, you cannot launch the 3D NFT collection that will be used in the metaverse right now, because there is no underlying asset class or standard that will know how to read.
Yeah, or the other platform then has to do work themselves to convert it, use it as the reference, and then do their own conversion. And there's a lot of work in that. Yeah.
And I'll just give you two more examples of the NFT classes that we are now putting on SolSea. Is like, for example, if you take painting, like you digitize this painting behind me, and you don't have a metadata standard like used by cross apps and platforms that will say, okay, the width and the height of this painting is written as width and height of painting in the metadata in the proper standardized format. So that when, for example, a virtual gallery app wants to load your NFT, it knows it's a painting. It was done by this, painter or author. And then the width and height and the depth of the painting is X, Y, Z. And this cross kind of standardization between the apps, I think it's needed in order for the whole space to jump to the next level and say, okay, we are not trading JPEGs, we're actually trading digital assets that represent something. In real life or in virtual life, it doesn't matter, but we need these, that's why all art is kind of building the protocol infrastructure and the metadata infrastructure. And the way that NFTs are transferred from one wallet to another, it also makes a lot of sense that these transfers are actually, have an engine running behind it that will say, okay, you can transfer this. There is a license right associated with this to this NFT. You can do this with a certain NFT. You cannot do this with a certain NFT. And that's why I'm saying, like, we are actually before the NFT revolution. We are now just, experimenting. We are a baby that is trying to walk, but it's falling, it's crawling, it's not even walking yet. And I think that, in the next bull run, hopefully the tech stack will be ready for the next level of authors and creators to implement these new standards inside of their own apps, and so that the whole world can boom or blossom in the NFT world.
I think it's really fascinating, and I completely agree when you start talking about the potential use case of NFTs around kind of like conveyancing, property, music licensing. You say 3D files within the metaverse. All these things do require a bit more forethought in terms of metadata and the information that goes alongside it, rather than just the tokenization. Otherwise, different platforms then have to do more work themselves in order to convert it, like you say. But aside from that, then, what would you say is the most exciting part of the NFT industry for you that no one's talking about? Like, what do you think that, or not enough's being made of? What do you think is kind of going under the radar at the moment, and you're kind of thinking, people need to be talking about this?
So I think that things that we are now experimenting on SolSea are, they excite me a lot. Things like, for example, unlockable content. I think we are the only marketplace on Solana that has the true unlockable content. Together, we implemented this with the partnership with Darkblock, and they build a solution for encrypting files, and then only if you own the NFT, you can actually see what's behind the NFT. And that type of solutions will bring a lot of creativity into the space.
Yeah.
You can imagine, like, putting up the NFT that has a preview image, and then when you unlock it, you get another image that is kind of hidden behind the preview image.
Or say books and comics and graphic artists, like you can have the cover as the NFT, and then unlockable content is actually the comic, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And also, the things that we are now seeing, like in the, let's say, video production. I think that if you think about a podcaster, right, or maybe even this interview, when you think about it, like, how do you monetize currently your podcast? There are two ways, right? First is you usually, or let's say three, but you put it on YouTube and you hope that you will get some advertisement money from YouTube, which is really, really, a small amount compared to number of views that you need to have. The second way is you get a real life sponsors and you put their products, around you in the show. And the third way is Patreon and these kind of, new platforms that are trying to monetize. Yeah. But if you think about the core of what you are building as a podcaster, you are actually creating a digital asset. Your episode is your digital asset. And if you're able to NFTize this asset, but not mint 10,000 of unique NFTs, it's actually one NFT with what we call a supply bigger than one, and you can then sell this episode for your community for $0.1 or whatever. But if you have 10,000 viewers on this episode, or buyers of this episode, then you will earn some money from the episode without the need to wait for the advertising dollars and to wait for sponsors to give you some money. So it changes the game for creators. I believe that in the next phase of the NFT development, we will see much more regular folks that are utilizing digital asset creation as the way to monetize their work, to be able to actually do it through the NFTs. And I think this is the problem that we could solve for the world. And I mean, we, like the whole NFT sector, is like, hey, let's bring them tools to be able to move away from chasing advertisers, waiting for YouTubes of the world to give them some small amount of money in order for them to create quality content. And if you move from podcasters to influencers to Instagrams, the same model exists there, right? you have the influencer that takes money from the sponsors away from the actual Instagram platform, and then promotes something or the content. Cannot produce the content that people will buy, on the Instagram. And that's, I mean, it can produce a brand, it can sell shoes, but it cannot sell, like the itself, like what he's doing. Like, hey, I'm, going around the world and having these beautiful, shots, and I cannot sell them, right? And now they can with the NFT. Like, we are not yet there. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're just about to get that.
Yeah.
And I think once, but it all comes down. You know what? It's crazy. It all comes down to the UX, okay? And of course, the platform, because they need to go and create. They need to have these tools like upload, like share, like sell or produce 2,000 NFTs. Let's meet 2,000 NFTs on my episode. Like, mint it and post it somewhere. Then people need to go somewhere to discover it, and then the price discovery is also interesting. Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, just a little bit more time, and we're there.
That's fascinating. So, I mean, I think just we're looking forward now to hopefully not too long, I guess, but a period of building, whilst things kind of right itself. Within that, then, what's coming next for All Art and SolSea? What should we be looking out for? What are you building during this coming crypto winter, or arrived crypto winter, as we probably are right now?
It's hot. So, what maybe I can then kind of put the whole story together, like what we are and what we do and where we see ourselves in the future is like, we have the metaverse, right? It's via All Art. So we will probably name it under the All Art brand because it's difficult to pronounce it, like VR All Art. People have difficulty pronouncing All Art is much simpler. And then the VR All Art is actually a VR solution for All Art. And we are now kind of circling around, and fusing it all together in the protocol, marketplace, and metaverse kind of world. So, we will be releasing this 3D NFT standard, and we have a lot of digital assets that we produced ourselves, and especially because VR All Art works with avatars. We have our own avatar platform within our own metaverse, and it's literally crazy. Like, I don't know if people can go on the internet and then search for the Metamorph event. So we did kind of panel discussions with avatars that were joined, in the metaverse, in the panel discussion. And you are seeing your hands, like when you're moving your hands, you are behaving as your avatar. And this sense of presence in virtual reality is so strong and so emotional that we can definitely see that people will be using this as not a substitute to reality, but more like, an add-on. When they cannot go somewhere, they can go as an avatar. And I think this makes it, very strong. So anyway, avatars, spaces, digital assets, 3D assets, 3D standard, marketplace for all of this, a place to buy your things in the marketplace as a 3D asset, 2D asset, put it in the metaverse, and then all of that, circling around the NFT infrastructure, the NFT protocols. And we see that license agreements, I think SolSea is still the only marketplace in the world that allows you to mint an NFT together with a license. So you can state, like you pick a license and say, this is the license that I'm selling this NFT with. And once protocols can start reading these licenses and say, okay, you are allowed to publicly display your art, or you are not allowed to publicly display your NFT, then we can have this kind of movement. But there's a lot of tools in the NFT sector, then a lot of tools in the marketplace, then a lot of tools in the metaverse, then a lot of assets that are surrounding these, and then it all fuses down into one, like one, how do you call it, a whole, right? That All Art and SolSea and VR All Art and Metamorph and everything that we are creating is kind of one big thing. But people don't know this. I think that we also have as a company, we have this communication problem. We need to explain all of this to people to see that the vision that we have for the whole space and the thing that we are building, this is not what you can see on the surface. It is much deeper, and it goes, much further than just, like, hey, we can flip NFTs on SolSea.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. We're looking forward to that. So I coined a new segment for the end of our interviews. So you're gonna we had the last guest join us on this, so it's your turn now. It's called Fill or Shill. Okay, so you can either fill and talk more about your project for 5 minutes, but you can't say or ah. If you do, I'll cut you off. Or you can promote another project that you think's awesome, give it a bit of a plug, something not related to yourself, just for a minute. What would you like to do? Are you going to fill or are you going to shill?
Of course, I'm going to fill.
Oh, you're going to fill? Okay.
Oh, no, I'm not going to fill. Fill is like talking about our project.
Yeah.
No, I talked about our project.
Yeah. Shill. No, so you're going to shill.
I'm gonna ask a question to the audience. Not a question to the audience, but more like kind of. I want to say something about Web 5.
Okay, yeah, go for it. Go for it.
It's not shilling about Web 5, but I'm gonna say that maybe there is something into it. Okay, I've gone through the deck and I've researched a little bit, and I think that there is a lot of thought put into it. I have no idea how it will work out, whether the dev team will be able to deliver on everything that was said there. But I see that what we have right now, what we call Web 3, is actually not Web 3. Okay, this is more like something in the middle between Web 2 and Web 3, at least what we call Web 3, like decentralized world or something. We need some form. What we saw in running a marketplace that has an open minter, like we saw that people demand protection. People, they need trust. They need protection. They need verification. They need some regular old world things, like a court. Hey, someone needs to defend me against a scammer or something like that. I have no idea how the Web 5 will work on that. But what is true is that we don't own our files. We don't own our identities. Web 3 didn't solve this for us. So we do need something new to pop up on the market and to try to tackle these problems. So I have no idea how it will roll out, what will happen with Web 5, but I'm very excited to follow it very closely and to see whether we can implement something of that. What we do in what we learn that Web 5 might become.
Brilliant. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Well, Victor, it was absolutely a pleasure to chat with you today. And we'll speak again soon, I'm sure.
Liam, thank you very much for inviting us. And yes, we are here open for, any type of discussion, hard or soft.
Brilliant. All right. Brilliant. Speak to you soon.